Hey kiddos, this is the end of module test prep and review, and I'm going to do my best to get this done as quickly as possible, but it's kind of a monster. In fact, I don't even know if they give this test anymore because it's so huge, and now that everything's kind of online, I think they have whittled it down somewhat. So I'm going to jump in with some of these review questions that I've changed so that the process and the task is what you'll have to do on the test if you have this test, but it's just a great review of this Module 4, which is the biggest and the toughest this whole year. So if you can do this, you are set to go. Now remember, multiplying fractions is just straight multiplying across the top and the bottom. You also have to draw a model. So when we had a model, it looked like this. Okay, it's half of a fifth. The fifth is what you actually start with. Okay, so the 5 pieces are going to be the vertical. You have 1, and then we're taking half of that. So this is going to be that crisscrossing method where you can shade the opposite way. You can shade either the top or the bottom, but the answer is going to be 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 5 is 10. This piece here is technically where you can identify the answer, okay? And so the next one, we have 2/5 of 1/2. So again, you want to show the half. And then 2/5. So we need fifths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and we need 2 of them shaded the opposite direction. If you are to multiply straight across like we did in the beginning, you would get 2/10. Some computer tests will recognize this as just fine as your answer. There are 2 pieces here out of 10, but you can simplify that by dividing both the top and the bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 2/10 is your answer, or 1/5, that is the simplified answer. And again, these are different than the numbers on the test, but it's the skill that you should be working on here. What if I have more pieces? I have 5/6. So I'm going to make a little bit bigger model, split it in half, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. 5 of them are shaded. Okay, now I have to take 2/5 of that, so now I need to have fifths going this way. 3, 4, 5, and I need 2 of them with the opposite shading. So now whenever we make these area models, this is creating 30 pieces, okay, because we didn't do any of the cross-canceling back in the beginning. So 5 times 6 is 30, that's where you get all the pieces, and 2 times 5 is 10. Now that's almost never going to be your simplest form unless it can't be simplified, like it's 1/10 or something. And so here you want to look for simplifying these. So 10 divided by 10 is 1, 30 divided by 10 is 3, and then you can see that this is, if you were to count all the pieces, that would be literally 1/3 of all of the little squares in this piece. Okay, so let's move on. Now these 3, I want you to notice how I sectioned this off, because sometimes kids will not pay attention to the signs, but watch the signs. The first 3, A, B, C, are multiplication, and then the next are division. Now division, totally different methodology, okay? So we're not going to be using these models. We can use tape diagrams. You can, and what we've been doing on all these videos is taking these whole numbers, okay, keep it, and then multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so I know I should have 15 as my answer, but you also have to draw a model. So if I have 3, 1, 2, 3, and it's divided by fifths. This was the one where we had like basically the number line. Okay, I know we've done a lot of tape diagrams. So if you have the number line, and this tape diagram consists of 3 pieces, each one is divided into fifths. Okay, and so you're going to have 15 of these pieces when 3 is divided by a fifth. See here you have 5, then this would be 10, this would be 15. Okay? Next one. So that's your answer. 6 divided by 1/3. So take and make a tape diagram. Call it 6. Break it into 2 pieces, and then 3 on the left, 3 on the right. This is like a number line. It's 6 holes. Each one is broken into thirds. And so how many of these thirds? So 6 over 1 divided by 1/3. Keep it, change the sign, multiply by the reciprocal, and so you get 18, because you're going to have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So 18 pieces. And then the last one. Now this one we have a fraction to start. So instead of drawing the whole number, you would say, all right, if this is 1, then what I have is 1/3. Okay, so this is what I start with. And I'm going to divide my 1/3 into 4 pieces. And so just like we did before, you can keep it, change it, flip it. If you want to rewrite that in your own writing just to make yourself happy, that's fine. But what you're ending up with is what is one of those, and one of them is 1/12 of the whole. All right, so that is page 1, and it's problem number 1 with 6 parts. Isn't that fun? I think whoever wrote these tests, they don't like children very much because it's kind of a torturous process. All right, so page 2, multiplying and dividing using any method. Basically, we're going to use the standard algorithm. You can have either factor on top, but I'm just going to do it one way for the sake of speed. You can put the decimal on the top or the bottom. It totally does not matter. So 8 times 3 is 24. Please know your facts. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 2 is 10. Hold that spot with a 0 or leave it blank. That's very, very important. This is the ones place, and we're done with that. Two tens times 3 ones, that's going to be 60. So now you want that to reflect what you're multiplying. 2 times 1 is 2. Add those and have your 364 what? Well, if I have tenths up here, if you wanted to write it in unit form and say 13 tenths, and then write 364 tenths, that's fine. But remember our shortcut, now that we know how to do it, tenths here, tenths here. So 36.4 is your final answer on this warm-up problem for sample purposes. How about this one? Now, if I have 3 digits, I always tell students, we'll put the one with more digits on the top, and this is 1.3. So practice with this. Now, if I have different places in the decimal and you don't feel comfortable with that, write out the unit form. Put 28 hundredths here and 13 tenths, T-E-N-T-H-S, so spell it out. Or just go ahead and do the multiplication with the decimals in, and then don't put your decimal here, place it in the answer only. Same numbers as here. I don't know if you noticed, so a lot of the multiplying is going to be the same, which is good if you've already done it correctly here. But if you blew it here, you might blow it there. So please be careful with your multiplication facts. 8 times 3 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. And then 3 times 0 is 0. So it can look very similar, except I flip-flopped these so you won't recognize those partial products there. We're done with the 3, so hold that with a 0. 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 0 is 0, and you don't really have to put that there, but I did. And so add, and 16, carry the 1, and 3, and I get the 364 again, but how many decimal places do I need? I need 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, plop it in, put the 0, and you have 364 thousandths. So be very careful on those. Again, similar numbers, but you have to watch out for the decimal placement. 15 times 0.05. This one might be more fun if, because it's division, these were multiplication, watch out. What if I write it like this? 15 divided by 0 and 5/100ths. So this, we just finished that. This is lessons like 31 and 32. And so if you multiply by 100/100ths, you will move that decimal out of the divisor. 1500, 15 times 100 is 1500, and then 5 would be on the bottom. And then you can almost just do the mental math here. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then there's 0, 0. So you end up with 300. You can do the standard algorithm if you want, but I'm not going to. Same thing here, 1.5 over 0.5. What do? I only need 10 as my scale factor because that will create a 5 on the bottom, and that's what controls. The denominator controls the scale factor. Then we get 15 here for a total of 3. Okay, now the next one. Probably my favorite way. You can do this in a number of ways. You can change this to 164/10 times 3/4. You can also recognize that this 3/4 is equivalent to 0.75 or 0.75. So it's like money. It's like quarters, 3 out of 4. So you can do these any way you want. If you do it this way, you definitely should try to simplify that, knowing that 16 is a multiple of 4, and so is 4. And then you would still have 41 times 3 over 10. But that's a pretty easy problem right there. Hold on, let me do this one. Standard algorithm, 4 times 5 is 20, and then 32, and then 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. That's done here, so hold this with the 0. 7 times 4 is 28. There's the 2, 42, 43, 44, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now I don't have anything to multiply with the 0, so I'm just going to leave that. Add 13 to 1. So 1, 2, 3 places, 1, 2, 3 places, 12.3. And if you look and see that this is equivalent, okay, these you can ignore. If I have 123 divided by 10, remember when you have that decimal right here, and you can go shift. So all kinds of ways you can get it. These are, once you learn the skills, it's like you have these things in your tool belt, your math tool belt, and you can do what you like. It says use any method, so there are lots of different methods. Okay, let's see. 112.2 divided by 4.4. These are both tenths. Okay, once you move out your 1122 divided by 44. Then set it up with the standard algorithm. Okay, and we can spend a moment doing this. 44 is pretty close to 50, and so we would start with a 2 here. 2 is going to be 88, and then subtract. And let's just use the standard algorithm. And so 0, 12, 4, and then you can't borrow from there, so turn that into, it becomes 24. Okay, that's less when you do your quick compare. Bring down the 2. We've got 242. And it's not going to be even, so we'll multiply by 5. 5 times 4 is 20, and then 22. So we're close, but we end up with 22, which, look, that's exactly half. So if you continue, remember how to do this. Annex a decimal and a 0. Bring it down and continue dividing. 44 can fit into 220 right here 5 number of times. We already did that, so I know that it's 220. and I can have 0. Okay, so 25 and 5/10 is the answer there. Before my lights go out, I'm just going to stand up and turn them on myself. Yay, because they're always going out. Okay. I feel like I'm going to win at this game. Okay, let's keep going. Oh yeah, become a subscriber. Yay, click on the subscribe button and you can get these fun videos all the time. 1/3 the sum of 1/4 and 1/8. Now we just did this in like lesson 32 maybe. And so 1/3 the sum. This is where you have the fraction on the outside because I need to find the sum of this stuff. So you can put a dot, you can leave it blank, you can just have 1/3, or you can put an X of 1/4, and we need the sum, and 1/8. Okay, so watch out. If you're using sum, you've got to do the sum in the middle, and then we're going to take a fractional value of that. You could also put 1/3 over here, but I'm just going to leave it there. 4 and 1/4 times the sum of 6 and 8. And again, I've got to get the sum of 6 and 8 first before I do 4 and 1/4. So let's say I have a mixed number. I can do that, or I could do 6 plus 8, leave this blank, and then do times 4 and 1/4. That would also work. Okay, so what if I have 12 divided by the difference? Okay, now we have totally different terms. We have divided by, and we have to get the difference. Now, if you're going to divide 12 by something, then 12 is your whole, and you can't move it. Okay, the commutative property works on multiplication. It does not work on division. So 12 is going to be divided by what? The difference between 1 and 3/5 and 5/8. And so you have to really be careful. Put the difference there. Find the difference first, then solve. All right, let's keep moving. Now this one, that was number 3. Now this one goes to number 4. So a castle has to be guarded 24 hours a day. There are a certain number of knights on this question who are ordered to split each day's guard duty equally. Now it was kind of hard to come up with something that would be a good review question that wouldn't give the answer away. Because then you have to record your answer in hours and minutes, and then you have to record your answer in minutes. So I'm going to do a couple different things, and then you can kind of work with that on the test. So if it has to be guarded 24 hours a day, and you have a certain number of nights, if there were 2 nights, then it would be 24 divided by 2 for 12 hours in a shift. Okay, now that's one possibility. But what if there are 3 nights? Okay, so that would be 8, because 8 times 3, so that would be 8 hours in a shift. So let's just say these are all working out real nicely. We got a day's work. What if you get an odd number or something that doesn't evenly divide into 24? So let's say we try 9. Okay, now it's not going to be the straight multiple, so you can divide 24 by 9, and we get 2 full hours. Now again, it's a lot fewer hours because we have a lot more nights, but that would be 18, and then the remainder you would put in a fraction. Okay, so the difference between 18 and 24 is 6. That's this part here, out of 9, which is what I'm counting by. So 24 divided by 9 is 2 and 6/9. So we've got some whole number possibilities, and you've got a mixed number, and this would be hours per shift. Well, that's all fun until you have to record it in hours and minutes. Now, these are already calculated because they're even, but hint, hint, you may have to have a fraction answer to figure out the minutes on the actual test. So let's say we have these 2 and 6/9 hours. How do I show that in minutes? Well, you're going to have to take your 60 minutes in 1 hour. You've got to really know that, and I don't know if your teacher's going to give you a conversion sheet like that one page in your book, but you have to break the hour into the denominator number of parts. So, so if it's 60 minutes and we divide it by 9, okay, you may not get an even answer. And so what I'm saying is it's okay. I can, instead of, sorry, let me do it an easier way. You can simplify and say take 2 6/9 and divide by 3 and get 2/3. And so if I have 2 2/3 hours, okay, you can get an even split here if I split my 60 into the 3 parts. I get 20 minutes per part. So I need 2 of those parts. So if I have 2 hours, which is the whole number, and then I split my hour, 60 minutes, into the 3 parts, 20, 40, 60, then I need 2 of those. So it's going to be 20 times 2 for 40 minutes. Now, I'm just throwing some random numbers out, and of course this is not going to be the answer, but watch out for your fraction because you need to divide by the denominator number of parts. You want to try to make it as easy as possible. If 6/9 or a fraction can be simplified, try to make it as simple as possible so that you have an easier number to divide with. Now, just the minutes alone. So you're going to take what you have here, and the 2 hours is 60 minutes times 2 for 120 minutes. But also don't forget to add whatever's left over. Okay, so your problem's going to be kind of like that when you do your work there. So let's see, I'm getting short on time, and I still have another problem. So, okay, this may be the last page I can do today. On the blank, okay, it's really important that you follow the directions on the test. On the blank, write a division expression that matches the situation. Okay, you don't have to solve it here. You're going to solve it here, and then you have to answer a little something down here. Okay, so this whole page is number 5. So it says, write a division expression that matches this one. So if Kim, Mark, and Tanisha share 9 yards of ribbon equally, how much ribbon will each get? So just set it up. What are we sharing? We're sharing 9 yards. 9 yards is the total, and we're going to share. That means division. We're going to share it equally. Key word here. Okay? 9 yards is going to be shared by how many people? 3 people. Okay? That's all. That's going to be your answer, is what you write on the line just to set it up. B is a different problem, but all kind of thinking about the same thing. So it takes 1/3 of a yard of ribbon to make a bow. How many bows can be made with 9 yards of ribbon? So we still have these 9 yards, but now we're dividing it by what we're doing here, which is the 1/3 of a yard per bow. Okay? Now, if I take, and I want to do my my answer here, so we have to draw a diagram for each problem. So let's just divide this in half, and we're going to, when they say diagram, they mean tape diagram. So we're going to take the 9. Okay, can you hear the vacuum? It's like, day's over, go home. I will finish my video. All right, so we both have 9. Okay, and this one is being divided by the 3 people who are going to share. So each of the kids or the people get 3 yards. Okay. This one is the 9 like this. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. And so this one is being divided by 1/3. Each one is being divided into a third. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit different. Now, this is just 9 divided by 3 for 3. And this is 9 divided by 1/3. So we're going to do 9 times 3 over 1, which makes 27. And that's what that is right there. There's going to be 27 of those, and that's going to be 27 bows. So different purpose for each question. This is the yards, and this is the bows. Now, last part of this one, and it's, could either of the problems also be solved by using 1/3 of 9? So, if so, which one? So let's take each problem. Now this one, I can't do 1/3 of 9 because I'm doing 3 times 9. So you have to really look at how you're solving this. Let's take a look at A since B didn't work. If 9 is the whole and I'm dividing by 3, okay, then I keep it, change the sign, flip and multiply by the reciprocal, it would be 9 times 1/3. Now, because of the commutative property, I can switch the order. Okay, which that means it's equal to 1/3 times 9. So, yes, A can be solved. Okay, so that is where I'm going to stop this video. There is a full other half to this test, and I don't really have, I can't do it in a timely manner. It's 27 minutes, so we have to be done. But there are, it's really hard to change this when they use a line plot, and so I wasn't really able to adjust it. So anyway, I'm not going to go over that, and I hope your teachers do not assign that one, but I hope this part has been super helpful for you. You guys are the best. Subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.